go ahead and get started because it's 6:35 and I'd like to start on time so we can get up out of here on time. This is our last town hall meeting for the year. We had 3 previous town hall meetings this year. Usually every year at this time we come back and do an active shooter town hall because we want our citizens to be aware and ready when you go out shopping and going to different malls or you go into gatherings. We want to make sure that you have a plan and you be aware of the possibility of an active shooter incident occurring. So we just want to make sure that we give tips to our citizens on planning, and if you happen to be in an area where active shooter event occurs, that you could take active measures to make sure that you can survive that incident. Also, we're going to be talking about our crime stats. The sheriff will be here. He'll talk about the crime stats. Some more things that they're doing at the sheriff's department. Our Captain Sanders, he'll be talking about safety tips as far as parking, and if you watch the news, you'll see in some of the metro areas where they're having a lot of crimes of entering autos and what they call sliders. So we just want to make sure our people are aware of that. Also, Captain Adam Cannon will be coming up and talking about financial crimes that occur, ATM, how to be careful at the ATM, and when you're going out shopping with holiday season, being aware of the financial transaction card thefts. So we're going to cover those areas as quickly as we can. We hope that we will have time for some Q&A, afterward. Lastly, we're going to have child abuse. I think it's called Child Sexual Abuse Prevention. Child Sexual Abuse Prevention by Family Bridge. They will be giving us some information on that. Well, Sheriff is here, so don't sit down. We finna put you on the back burner. The sheriff said that he has another event this evening, so we're gonna let the sheriff start off with what's going on at the sheriff department.
How y'all ladies and gentlemen doing? Good to be here.
And
sorry, running a little late, but
following the sheriff, we will have Captain Stafford, who will do the active shooter and do the stats for the police department. So I'm going to turn it over to the sheriff. I guess I should tell him who I am.
This is Gary Spark, Chief of Police here in Douglasville, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is Sheriff Pound, the sheriff of Douglas County. We grew up together. I guess everybody, most people around here know that. We grew up like brothers, so you have something that's awesome here in Douglas County, in the city of Douglasville, because we don't have any conflict, because we've been traveling these streets together for a long time, 30 years. I've been 31 years as a police officer.
42.
And for you, 42, so we're not gonna tell our age, but add our age onto it. We've been blessed to serve you and blessed to live this long in this section of the rural called Douglasville, Douglas County. So I'm gonna get out the way, let the sheriff go and do his thing.
Again, good evening. I'm running a little late here, but I got all what I'm gonna say on a PowerPoint, because there's so much to say. But pigtailing on what Spark was just talking about, the difference between, and I ain't saying nothing bad about the other ones. They was great officers, great leaders, But see, Sparks and I didn't come to this county. We were born in this county. So we got a chance to watch what was going on in Douglas County from a child all the way up to where we at now before we took the position that we have today. And I promised some things that I was going to do if I was elected as sheriff, and I'm about business. That's exactly what I'm trying to do, is the thing that I promised y'all that I was going to do. And I'm going to start with my PowerPoint girl? Where?
She behind you?
Oh, okay, girl, I didn't see you back there. I wasn't looking back there. Jovine. Yeah. Now, I ain't gonna read all these pages because Sparks gave me a cutoff time, but I'm gonna try to go through it briefly. And then some of the stuff is self-explanatory. You can see there, this is the personnel stats and demographics. 2017 versus 2018. 2017, we had 379 employees. We hired 27 new ones. 2018, we had 368, hired 47 new ones. It'll tell you the reason why in a minute. In 2017, 40 people left the agency due to retirement or other reasons, resignation, other reasons. 2018, same thing, 28 left due to retirement or resignation or other reasons. Correction, jail stats, 2017, we had 10,569 inmates booked in through the jail for that year. We averaged 28 book-in per day, over 80 prosecutable cases generated by the jail. In other words, those that try to slip contraband in, maybe a weapon of some kind, whatever it called them to get arrested once they was at the jail, that's what it called that prosecutable cases. 2018, as of 11/1/2018, 8,161 inmates booked into the D.C. jail, and you ain't even over it yet. Average 27 per day, 79. Almost same as last year, 79 prosecutable cases. And the crime stats, you can see it for yourself. And I am so, so proud of them because we're all about business, as Sparks said earlier. If I run him out there, if he run him up in the city, I'm gonna get him. He gonna get him. If he run him out to the county, we gonna get him. But we is on top of trying to make Douglas County a better place to live, work, and play. Now, y'all can see them stats, like in 2017, we had 4 homicides, 47 robberies, 10 forcible rapes, 153 motor vehicles, 401 in and out tows, 561 frauds, 26 forgery, 223 burglaries, 403 damage to property, 66 vandalism, 797 larceny, 128 aggravated assault, 550 regular assault. That was in, now you see how they came down? Well, we did have one more homicide more. Then we got 23, 7. You can see the difference, 145. Each one of them, a couple of them raised, but most of them, crime is down in Douglas County. And that's what I promised the folks when I took this job, to try to work on getting crime down in Douglas County. We don't want everybody, we want folks to continue to live here and be peaceful and know their agency got their back. Go on to the next one. Office of Professional Standards. Y'all know what that is. We call it IA. Some of the police officers don't do the thing, don't go by the rules, don't follow policy and procedures. Then they get open investigation start, like they can investigate corruption, brutality, misuse of force, breach of civil rights, and criminal misconduct. That's what IA investigate. And it goes on to tell you, but it's good you went on to the next one. And that's how many calls of service we had, 292,826 calls in 2017. there have been 248,143 received calls in 2018 to this date. 101,582 calls for service were completed in 2017. 80,301 calls for service were completed in 2018. 2017, there was DCSO entered 6,159 GCIC records. In other words, if you got a gun stolen, a car stolen, whatever you get stolen, it's got to be entered on GCIC. So every agency can happen to run into it. You get it still in Douglas County, they may stop you in Carroll County, but they still got that, it's on GCIC. And the date in 2018, operation entered 5,042 GCIC records. I ain't finna go over all these traffic statistics. Y'all can see the stats. And then they may have went down slightly because the streets got to run. Now, if my patrol division is short, I'm gonna pull one of them units right there and say, look again, y'all gonna work patrol today. Ain't gonna be no, you're gonna work patrol, announce this house call, do the burglaries. Make sure everything's going on, got enough folks to go around. And that's what I was just saying. Community programs. Quite a few. Blast, Clear, Care. But one of my pets, there's two of them I got that I'm kind of a little crazy about that I am. One of them is my Explorer program because it's designed to get these children at an age when we can start training them as children to become police officers. I think it started at 13, ain't it, Chief? What age? 13. Started 13. And we raise them up. They go through, they wear the same uniform I got on, got the same rank structure we got. And they go to different states and compete with other states in criminal investigation, crime scene. They do the same identical thing the big folks do. And when they get old enough to hire, that's where we hire from first, as our Explorer program. But parents, everybody is kind of scared, because my mama didn't want me in the policing. My daddy didn't care. But my mama did, and to be honest with you, I didn't want my son in it either. But he made it, and he went on, he became one anyway. But I think my Explorer program at least keep their mind off of drugs. And I'm telling you, drugs are out here, and Sparks and I trying our best to put a dent in it, and eventually we will. We start our own task force, but till then, let them join my Explorer program. Get something out of that one. And then the next is my scope, Sheriff Community Outreach Program and Education. That's the real baby. That's the real baby. I developed that myself because I don't want nobody taking over Thornton Road or any place we got a high crime rate where they just continue to do it. That unit go out, sit out, and see what we can find out about that particular unit. They also under that same unit, you can see some of the things. That is Polar Bear Patrol. It's all about the children in Douglas County right now, but don't nobody get it twisted. Now, if you come up here and commit a crime, we're gonna get you. Please believe that. But it's all about trying to save our children. You see these couples named Sound Truck, Ice Cream Truck, and the Barbecue Grill. Now, on these beautiful Saturdays, back in the summer, neighborhood watch, I take that grill, and that's me cooking right there. You can see it right there. I cook hot dogs and hamburgers for the children. Then I get a chance to talk to them and find out what's going on in their community, what's happening with the parents. See, some kids don't know the lie. They'll tell you the truth. If you get them out around folks, they're going to get them for telling the truth. So we talk to them, find out what's going on, and I let them know this is my main goal, is allow the children to see us in a different atmosphere than other than putting handcuffs on people. Sister, your brother, somebody going to jail. I don't want to see us doing that. So they'll know we ain't their enemy. We're the friends. This little dog here, Copper, he gonna be mainly to attract children. Sometimes the kids get lost, Alzheimer's, dementia patient. That little dog right there, as soon as he's trained, will help us so much track those. Mr. Horn. I also started a re-entry program, started April 20th. Y'all can see that 81 participants have been assisted, 44 are actively participating. That's a re-entry, because you know, it's a door. You get out of jail, 2 weeks later, you're right back in jail. That's something that I really want to stop. But if that's all you know is that system, that's what all you're going to be about. So I want to try to teach them. This program lets you know there's another way. We teach you how to get jobs. We tell you about jobs. We get you a ride to jobs. That's what this reentry program is all about. Here's some of the things that we do. And that's so you can, anybody got anything they want to know about their program, contact Lisa Williams right there. Y'all get her number. Give them time to get that number, Jovine. Stop that revolving door. Okay, Jovine. Active shooter awareness. I know everybody in this room probably know what that is, but we teach it. We teach it. That's how we're going to read them all. Go on to the next one, Joanne. You, Jovine. Now, we did put together one of the largest active shooters that's been in Douglas County on the 25th of July. And you can read what all we had involved in it, but it really went well. It really went well. We don't want for it to happen and catch us by surprise. We want to have some kind of idea to rush in, take command, and deal with it. And that's why we've been practicing this, what you can see right there. Look how many was involved in it. Okay. I think that's what the chief was talking about when I came in here, child sexual abuse. But you know what you didn't have? Y'all can read some of them. Current DC have 2 criminal investigators assigned to investigation to allegedly of child sexual and physical abuse cases. 2 of them. Y'all can read that. Go on to the next one, Jovine. Okay. All right, here goes some tips, crime tips. You know the holidays is coming. Some of these crooks just lay and wait for this season so they can get your present that you go in there and buy. So please, look at these little tips. Just look at them. Jot some of them down if you have to. All right, Joanne, you're going to be Joanne tonight. Increase the numbers of deputies, continue to implement the scope, community cards, promote Douglas County Sheriff's Office app and social media pages, community events, work closely with Douglasville PD. Well, that's good though. This is a little video that I put together because I'm all about trying to get the best candidates for the job.
My name is Terrence Dukes. I've been with Douglas County Sheriff's Office 4.5 years. My job is an investigator. I investigate juvenile crimes and crimes against persons.
My name is Susan Sweat, and I've worked at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office for 23 years, starting my career in 1994.
My name is Brett Dever. I'm a captain with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. I've worked with the Sheriff's Office for 23 years. I am currently the Director of Training for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, which encompasses about 370 employees.
Yeah, my name's Deputy Joseph Pounds. I've been working with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office for 10 years. I'm right now currently assigned to the Scorpion Unit.
Trent Wilson, and I've been with the Douglas County Sheriff's Department for 17 years. I work for the Scope Unit, which is the Sheriff's Community Outreach Program and Education.
My name is Deputy Marco Miranda. I work with Douglas County Sheriff's Office. I've been working with the Sheriff's Office for 10 years.
What I like the most about working for the Sheriff's Office is that I get to work with a great group of people. It's really more like a family here. We work with people who care about the community and who are genuinely trying to do the right thing for the community and for the people that we serve.
This is a very fun and friendly and can be very family oriented. We really care about one another. So coming to work here for the 17 years, I've really seen how they care about you outside of the Sheriff's Office.
It's a lot of fun as far as working with individuals. You definitely gain a family environment when you work with people for so long who are so dedicated to doing what they do.
In life, I have different issues, and the Sheriff's Office have been really supportive in my life, and co-workers and everybody. And people are nice, they appreciate law enforcement, and that's one of the things that I love most about the Sheriff's Office over here in Douglas County.
They're the most hard, grind, nose to the ground employees I've ever worked with, and they love their county and their community. When crime happened in Douglas County, they go get it.
I began working at the Sheriff's Office as a jailer. I was promoted to sergeant, and during my time as sergeant, I decided that I wanted to become an investigator. And in order to do that, I had to leave the jail as a sergeant and go out on patrol as a deputy. After doing a couple of years on patrol, I put in to become for an open investigator position, and I got the position, and here I am now. So obviously there's an opportunity for advancement in Douglas County.
I would say that this has been an absolutely terrific experience, and I am very proud of what I have done in my career at the Sheriff's Office. I would think that the only thing really that we could do to improve this department is if we could bring on a few more people who thought like the people who work here already do, that want to serve our community and do great things for the people that we serve.
If you're looking for a fun, exciting career with people who genuinely care about what they do, about their job, this will be the place for you.
I've always wanted to be a police officer all my life. I knew this is what I wanted to do since the age of 3 or 4, and I knew I've always wanted to do it here.
Hey, I'm Sheriff Pounds. I would love to have you on my team. Okay, that's the video there. But I won't stand here and try to claim that I had something to do with that training. I think in my heart and soul and mind that I have the best employees a sheriff's office can have. Well-trained officer, well-experienced, and do the right thing because I hold their little feet close to the fire. You know, if you mess up, I got to deal with you, and everyone know that. So we run a pretty tight ship. But I love the group I got. It ain't a better group in the period, even in the world. So like Susan said, the only thing I need is some more good employees that think like those that's been there for quite some time. And if anybody in this room happen to have someone that they know that would love it, go online, fill out that application, and send it in. Sparks, I know you gave me a time limit. You done left the room. Oh, no, you there, you are.
Yeah, I left.
Yeah.
I was just getting close so I could pull the coattail.
Yeah. Well, let me give my information. If they ever need me, it's right there. Call them numbers. I promise you I'll answer. If I don't, I'll call you back the next day. I don't go home without making my phone calls because that's just something I practice, returning my calls. Y'all any questions? Anybody got any questions? Somebody got to have one. Okay. Thank y'all very much.
Y'all give it up for Sheriff Pound. I think I got one. Yeah. So next we're gonna get into the active shooter and the crime stats and all of the goings on at the police department. We have some agendas back there in the back. In January, I think we're gonna have a emergency management preparedness. So we wanna make sure we'll get the word out, but we wanna make sure you come back for that class because we're gonna have the emergency management people coming here, advising us what we need to do because the winter will be up on us. Well, it's on us now, but we just want to make sure that our people are prepared to deal with the inclement weather. So that emergency management preparedness is going to be coming January. All right. So Captain Stafford, you ready to go? Rock and roll.
Good evening, everybody. so used to just yelling, I don't feel like I need to. Can you hear me better now? Yeah. All right. While we're talking about the statistics, I'm Captain Brad Stafford, by the way, I'm an administrative captain here with the City Police Department. And I know the sheriff was giving you some stats, and that's one of the things that I've been tasked with doing tonight. So we're not going to go through a whole bunch of them, but here are our quarterly stats, July through September. We get a lot of questions about especially our ticket writing, how many cases we work. You can see the investigative caseload there for the last 3 months. How many calls for service that we've had in the last 3 months? 17,000. 700 and some odd contacts that we've had with the public. The other thing that we put out, not only quarterly, but at the end of the year, here in the next month or so, we'll start compiling our end of the year report for the chief, which goes much more in depth into each one of these categories and also goes into some other categories about what we do. And we publish that. We put it on Facebook. We've put it out in the newspaper. And we also will do a town hall meeting after the first of the year, and one of the things that will be that end of the year report will be here for anybody who wants it, and we'll discuss what some of those statistics mean to you as the community. One of the things that we always put out is our use of force, and we explain what each type of force we've had to use in order to effect an arrest in the community. People want to know that information, so we put that out there. It's not a secret, and then we'll have a discussion. Some people will want to ask us certain things about that, or why we do certain things, or why we've had a certain number of types of force, and so on. Citations, down there in the gray at the bottom. So we've been, I don't know, averaging somewhere, looks like maybe 800 citations in those months. If nobody has any questions specifically about that.
Tell them what the soft hands are. Just go over that soft, the use of force.
And the use of force, where you see soft hand techniques, you'll see there was 28 in that preceding 3 months. Hard hand techniques, taser, deadly force, pretty self-explanatory, and other. The soft hand techniques, if our officers are mandated to report anytime they come have contact with a citizen and they're going to make an arrest, and they say, "Sir, you're under arrest, you got a warrant for your arrest. Turn around, put your hands behind your back." If the person turns around, puts their hand behind their back, and they just put their handcuffs on them, they don't have to report a use of force. But if that individual, when they go to put the cuffs on, resists in any way to the point where the officer has to forcefully put them in those handcuffs, that's called a soft hand control technique, and they have to report those. And you'll see that the vast majority of all of our use of force are soft hand control techniques. No blows were thrown. They didn't use the taser. They didn't hit them with their baton, and so on. They just had to force their hands behind their back because there was some resistance there. Hard hands, again, now you're talking about blows, punches, kicks, elbow strikes, knee strikes, some of the other things that we teach them in defensive tactics. The taser, when they deploy a taser, they record it deadly force. Obviously, they report it other. Generally, what the other are is a pit maneuver, or we're in a pursuit. We catch up to the bad guy. We strike the back of their car. There's a technique called a pit maneuver. Causes the bad guy's car to spin out and usually shuts the car off. And then we can pin the car in and go arrest the bad guys. That's a use of force when they use their car to spin the other car out, and they have to report those. So generally, that's what those other uses of force are. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right. We're going to transition into our active shooter presentation. That takes just a minute. This active shooter presentation usually lasts about an hour and a half. We don't have that much time tonight. We're going to do a greatly reduced version of it. However, I do tell people that because we get a lot of questions from churches, and businesses, and social groups, Aquinas clubs, and so on, where they want us to come out and teach the active shooter presentation, the full active shooter presentation. We do that. You'll see there's a slide here at the end where I give some information about where you can get in touch with us, and we'll come out and teach it out in the community and give you the full version. One of the things I like to do before we talk about these is I try to define the active shooter. When you turn on the news every night, unfortunately, these happen so often now you feel like you see them almost every night, but they use interchangeably the term active shooter, mass shooting, and a couple other terms. And unfortunately here, there's not a good definition for these where you get the same information time and time again. I was reading a news article today, getting prepared for tonight to get some updated information, and on one website it said there have been over 300 of these events this year. And then if you get on another website, it'll be down 8, 9 of them this year. How can there be such a drastic difference? And it has to do with how they're defined and who's defining them, and then what stats they go pull forth. And I'll give you an example. If you call it a mass shooting, there's 4 or more people that were killed. There's going to be a whole lot of those if you don't take gang violence out of it, if you don't take domestic disputes out of it, armed robberies, and so on. If instead you're talking about events like we see at the Pennsylvania synagogue where there are innocent people in there and it was a seemingly random event, then they become much fewer. So please remember that when you're seeing these things on TV, and you know, you can ask yourself the question of what are we really talking about, and therefore how many of them are there. But active shooter defined as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined and populated area. In most cases, they're done with firearms. Active shooter statistics in the U.S., more than 200 of them, more than 1,700 people have been injured or killed. They occur on average every 5 weeks, and they're increasing. So in other words, every year there's, well, I shouldn't say every year. Every few years there are more than there were the few years prior to that. So the numbers go up exponentially. This year alone, mass shootings now, again, defined as 4 or more people killed with certain restrictions. So as I just mentioned to you, this is taking out domestic disturbances, robberies, gang-related violence, where one gang member's killing several other gang members, and then the next day they're going back killing other gang members. So we're restricting it down to seemingly random events where people go into a crowded area and try to kill as many people as they can. And by doing that, my number for this year is there are 8 events. 68 victims were killed and 51 people have been injured so far in 2018. So how do we prepare for these? What do we need to think about? Understanding the dynamics of how you perceive your environment, having a plan, knowing what to expect once the police arrive, and understand what to do. If you have a family involved in an active shooter event, you're not there. And I'll give you an example. You have a child in a school, and you hear there's an active shooter event at that school. What can you do? What should you do? What you should not do? So those are some of the things we go over with in the full presentation when we come out and give it to you. The dynamics of perception, understanding a little bit about the human brain works, especially when you get into a life and death situation, can help to save your life. Understanding what some of your what you'll actually be able to do and what your brain probably isn't going to allow you to do is very important. We tend to be desensitized to environments in which we spend the most time. So home and work are the places we spend the most time. So if you're at your office or wherever your place of employment is and you start hearing loud noises, which could be gunfire or maybe someone dropping a book, there may be somebody doing other things, what you have a tendency to do is try to rationalize that sound back to something that makes sense to you in that environment. Because gunfire doesn't make sense to you in the mall where you work every day. So you try to rationalize that. And you can lose valuable seconds when you do that. Here you see our brains take the shortest route to help us mentally negotiate through unexpected occurrences. We associate the occurrence with previous experiences that we have stored in our memory. So we can't do that anymore. Now it's time you need to investigate those sounds and find out if that's something that is not rational, and start to make some decisions where you save some time and save your life and maybe the lives of others. Inclinations toward passivity. Our brains predispose to assume things will carry on in a predictable way. One of our natural biases is for us to follow the crowd, especially in one of these life or death situations. We are looking for leadership. We're looking for someone to say, that's gunfire, we need to go, this is the way we go, and get in motion. And that some person who needs to lead is probably you. And that's a decision you need to make right here tonight. These situations require leadership because our natural predisposition to passivity will get you killed. Understanding having geographical awareness, where are you? Where are the exits? What are potential safe areas? You'll see a video here in just a second where they barricade themselves into a room. They use improvised weapons. Those are things you need to think about. Where are those places in your place of employment? Where are they in your home? Where are they in the places that you frequent outside of work and home? The OODA loop. Understanding the OODA loop, and it'll you'll see it here in one of the videos that I'm going to show you. The OODA loop is something that's been used in the military and in law enforcement for decades. It stands for observe, orient, decide, and act. That is the process that your brain goes through when making a decision. Observe, orient, decide, and act. Observe, orient, decide, and act. That takes time, doesn't it, to do that? It takes some amount of time. And it can take about a second and a half if it's a stimulus that you're expecting. If it's something that you're used to. You see it, it registers with you, you orient, you decide what you're going to do to react to it, and then you act. What happens when you're sitting at work doing your normal daily activities and someone comes in there and actively starts to shoot people that you care about and your life is in danger too? How quickly do you think you're going to take that totally unexpected stimulus, observe, orient, decide, and act? How much time is that going to take? It's going to take a long time. Okay? Several seconds. That's a long, long time. So we train this to our police officers. The military trains it as well because we have to expect unexpected violent reactions from people and be able to react very, very quickly and accurately to what it is they're doing. So we train them. And the reason why we train them is to try to minimize the time it takes to go through that cycle. And the more that you can think and plan, the more you'll minimize that cycle, the time it takes to go through that cycle. And the shorter you can make that cycle, the better chance you have of surviving. But there's a little catch to it. As long as the bad guy's making all the decisions and you're doing all the reacting, who's winning and who's losing? The bad guy's winning because you're constantly on the backside of that OODA loop. You're behind. When you start to make decisions and you start to act, and it's unexpected to them, and they have to watch what you're doing and decide what they're going to do to react to that, who's winning now? You're winning, or at least you're starting to win. And one of the things we'll talk about is at some point you might have to fight. You might have to actively defend yourself. And some of the things that you can start to do that, to put them on the defensive, make them start to react to what you're doing, so they're on the backside of the OODA loop and you're winning. An active shooter in your vicinity quickly determine the most reasonable way to protect yourself, your clients, and anybody else that's with you. Lead the employees and start to react. Run, hide, fight is a program that Homeland Security came up with. That there were more and more of these active shooter events. They developed this video. I like the basics of what they say. There are several programs out there, there's GACE and Alert and several other programs that are being taught. And there's nothing wrong with any of them. One of my criteria for me personally is I want it to be simple, because in these situations you don't remember a whole lot of instructions. You're going to remember a few basic things you need to remember. And run, hide, fight is not difficult to remember. And also the video gives a couple good ideas, I think.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference: run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important: you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
All right, so pretty simple, easy for anybody to remember. But it's good information, especially when they talked a little bit about finding a good evacuation route, what makes a good hiding place, and then also about improvising weapons if you have to fight, and about having a little bit of. You can imagine how having a bit of a plan about what you might do if you're going to improvise weapons, especially if you do it with your coworkers. You have a plan that all of you had agreed on. That's going to cut down on that OODA loop, cut down on the planning that you're going to have to do in that situation, and you could very rapidly react to somebody who comes in, starts shooting, coming down the hallway, and you guys know where your safe office is, where there's some improvised weapons that you can use, and what your basic plan is. It's going to save lives. And you're going to begin to take the fight to the bad guy and have the potential to win. Sitting there and hoping they don't harm you doesn't work. They're there to kill as many people as they can kill for whatever reason. And not defending yourself just simply can't be an option any longer. We have to start taking the fight back to these people and reducing the amount of people, our loved ones who count on you, count on me, from becoming victims of this type of crime. These individuals, there's a reason why they go into the First Baptist Church in Southland, Texas, and kill parishioners in the church. There's a reason why they walk into a synagogue and start shooting people in a synagogue. Is that a hard target or is that an easy target in their mind? It's easy. Nobody in there is going to have a gun. Nobody in there is going to be expecting it. I can go in there and surprise them. They're not going to have any kind of a plan of what to do. They're not going to have anything to defend themselves with. So I can kill a whole bunch of these people. It's going to be easy. We need to start making it hard. We need to start making it where they get a little bit worried about going into a crowded room with a bunch of people, armed or not, and thinking that we're not going to do something. I want to show you one other quick video. I won't show all of it to you. Just let me show you a couple minutes and show you what people with no training can do with just a little bit of a plan. And affect the outcome a great deal. Now, this guy's a little bit hard to understand.
we're dealing with here is a last resort survival measure. The active shooter or the terrorist is on the premises shooting people. How would you know, first of all? Well, it's going to be kind of obvious. Screams, gunfire. You know how to recognize gunfire? I don't know if most of you have ever heard live gunfire. It doesn't sound like in the movies. Very important you learn how to recognize gunfire in a crowded environment. We teach that in the program. We'll distinguish between real gunfire and non-real gunfire. You recognize gunfire, you're hearing screams, perhaps you even see casualties or injured people. You see people running away. You are not able to run away and make it. Why would one not be able to run away and escape? Because you're trapped. Now let's talk about responding to an active shooter and the timeliness of it. How long do you think it will take you, all of you, to get off your chair from where you are right now and make it to me? Right here. If you were running for your life.
Second.
How many seconds? I guarantee you, top 3. But I don't want to guarantee it. I want you to do it. Boom! Very nice job. That was excellent. I knew I could count on UCI for all this. Good stuff. Fantastic. Very nice. Now, once again, would you be prepared to do that? Well, guess what? I think so. You're hearing screaming. You're hearing shouts. You're hearing gunfire. Are you going to know it's coming? It's getting closer and louder. This thing is locked down. Sure you will. You'll be ready. But I'm not proposing that you'll wait sitting in your chairs like that. That will be for a surprise entry to that door that will be totally unexpected. Not going to be the case. I will teach you where to stand and how to position yourself so you have a tactical advantage versus a shooter coming to that door. So when he comes to that door, he's not going to go and then come in. Okay? He's coming in. He's looking to kill. He's looking for the target. He won't see these two sides. You have a coordinated action coming on him. One of you, at least one of you, if not both of you, are going to be successful at, hey, again, not putting a handcuff on the guy and arresting him or killing him. No. Stopping him from shooting, bringing him to the floor, and containing him on the floor so he can't continue his violence action. Very simple. Okay? Since we're going to use 2 examples here. One is on this door that has one side only, and then 2 is that door that has 2 sides in the event that you have 2 types of scenarios that come at you. And that's why I use this classroom as well, because it's 2 kinds of door. Now, what will help you, because obviously not the whole classroom needs to be here. Who is going to make contact? The first 2, top, the first 2. So 2 people on each door, on both sides of the door. No, wait, no, yeah, I'm explaining and then I'll call you. Okay, one. Second. What does everybody else do? Where? No, where would you be? In front of him? You just learned a big lesson. When he comes in, he's looking straight ahead. So safety says, anybody who doesn't have a role, and many of you shouldn't have a role in this case, get out of the zone. Get out of the kill zone. So go there. In the far corner against the same wall he comes to, or that far corner. Definitely not in front of him. But there is going to be a few of you that are going to be required to do one very important thing that's going to assure the success of those by the door. And that's attracting his vision and attention on them by throwing object and running across the room in the opposite direction, if you can help it, than where the attackers, defenders are going to be positioned at. So if I'm coming here, you don't want me as a shooter to turn and look here, right? What you're going to do, you're going to go like that and throw object running this way. I'm coming this way, bam, that's it. Now how much time do I have, honestly, when I come to that door? 1 second, baby. What? So we're talking, time has now shrunk significantly for the shooter to be able to be shooting effectively. So just practice with me one time the drill. Here, no, come here. 1, and then you, right there. Good. What will help you a lot is actually push the knee here. Yeah, because that will collapse a lot easier than my entire body, especially if I'm strong. So just aim for the knee. You see that? That's what. Try one time. The knee. Yeah. Oh yeah. Much better. Nice job. Shots fired in the corridor. Shots fired in the corridor. Nice and safe. Yes, sir. Right on. So, you okay? So, shots fire! Move, 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 move. One, go! You good, Steve?
Yeah, good.
All right, so what did you shoot at?
What's that?
What did you shoot at?
One shot in the middle. It was one person, one shot.
You did see a person. You managed to see a person.
Well, it was dark, so.
All right, all right.
I don't know.
Now, did you notice that?
Yes.
Did that throw you off any?
For sure, because I had to look around it.
Right,
For sure. That,
Okay.
That took away a potential target area.
Right there.
So
right
I had
there.
my first response was to look for a target other than this.
Other than this. So
So
it took
the-
you, what, a second and a half?
For sure, it played into the Yoda.
How many, I mean, just in that classroom alone, they got down to where he was only getting off one shot. How many people's lives did they save just in that one classroom? By coming up with a basic plan, untrained people, but they threw a couple things that this guy didn't expect. He expects to come in that room, everybody's cowering on the floor, and he gets to walk by and shoot all of them. That's what he's expecting. He opens the door, and people are rushing at him. There's chairs in the way, tables in the way. People are throwing shoes at him. Whatever it is that they had, they improvised some weapons, and it is not what he's expecting. And now his OODA loop is 3 or 4 times longer than it was when he walked through the door. They're making the decisions. He's having to react to them, and they win. And just like the guy says, you don't have to handcuff them. You don't have, just sit on top of them. Sit on top of them and wait for the police to get there. But he's not shooting anybody anymore. He's not hurting and killing anybody anymore. And you did it with the most basic of plans. We can do this, but we need to start thinking that way. We need to start talking to our families about that, teaching them that that's how they need to start to think and react. Because sitting there and doing nothing when they come into our churches and our businesses isn't working. And unfortunately, we are not there. The police are not there for several minutes. And that's what they're counting on. So, what to expect when law enforcement arrives? They hit on a little bit in the video already. I'm not going to take a bunch of time on that, but we are going to be coming in. It is not our first job to deal with the wounded, to get statements and so on. The initial officers that respond are looking for this individual to see if he's still alive and actively doing damage to people, and for us to stop that threat however we need to stop it. We shoot him, he gives up, he shoots himself when he sees one of us, which is not uncommon. But we stop that. Then we backtrack and try to help the wounded and deal with whether there's another one that we need to be dealing with, evacuate people, and so on. So understand that going in. And the preparation and the plan, you see here we're talking about an emergency action plan. Emergency action plan for you in the place where you work is very, very important. Get with your bosses and the powers that be and see if you can't come together. If not, get with your coworkers and come up with a plan that all of you can agree on. Something simple, just like that. What's in that office that you can use? Where would you go? What's the safest place to go? What's the safest evacuation route? If you can run, what's the best place to run? How to get out of there? If you can't run, what's the best place to hide and defend yourself? We go into, after the fact, there's things that you can do to help us in law enforcement. We get a lot of questions. There was just the synagogue shooting most recently. I talked a little bit about Texas, and we get people asking us about what can we do in our places of worship. And here's a couple points that we came up with. Some of the churches, we are in the churches right now here in our city. Some of them, they've hired us to be in there sometimes during the week, but very often during their service time, Sundays, and so on. I was talking to someone from the sheriff's department, and they're in many churches as well in the county. So we do that. Off-duty officers who are part of your congregation. People, if you don't have off-duty officers, just appointing members of your congregation to act as security while you're during your time of worship. People that are just monitoring the doors, who's coming in and out, monitoring what's going on in the room, and so on. I believe the chief told me they do that at his congregation, where they've asked a couple of the men in there to watch who's coming in and out the doors, make sure they recognize everybody. If somebody they don't know or something, somebody may confront them. Hey, welcome. Can we help you? And so on. So to try to help guard against this. Have your emergency action plan in place and teach this survival mindset to everybody that you know and love. That's the main thing that we can learn from this, is to teach that survival mindset that you have to react. If you're interested in having one of these programs, you can call Lieutenant Edwards, or you can just ask for the training division if you don't remember his name. Just ask for the training division, tell them you want an active shooter presentation. They'll give you the right people to talk to. And you see on the bottom here, we simply ask for 15 people in attendance. If you can get somewhere close to that, we'll come out and do the program.
Every year at this time of the year, we come up with our active shooter planning, because we know you're going to be going out to the malls, you're going to be going shopping, you're going to be going to these crowds, and like the lady said here, you don't know if someone is having some type of mental issues and they just want to go to Macy's and create havoc. But if you know you're going to Macy's, where it's Field Plaza, wherever you're going, pull it up, Google it. So you know the plan, you know the floor plan. So the more you know about a place prior to you getting there, the more you could take mental shortcuts to get around and help you with the OODA loop. If you go there and you don't know, you just run around lost. So plan your day. Even as Lieutenant going to talk about parking and in and autos, plan your day of shopping well before you go. I still don't get up in the car, go pick up my girlfriend, we riding, la-di-da-di, everybody was just talking. No, that day is gone. You have to plan.
Nobody else has any other questions? I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Ashley Sanders with our patrol division. He's going to talk a little bit about holiday safety in and around gas stations and some of our commercial businesses and parking lots. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Sanders with the Police Department, and I'm going to cover some of the crimes that I commonly see as a patrol supervisor, not only through the holiday season, but typically year-round. There is an uptick during the holiday season of internautos and thefts and things like that. I'm going to give you some ideas on how to protect yourself from that. My phone number's up here. You can reach me. That's my cell, and that's my email. If you want to write it down, take a picture. If you ever need me, give me a call. Now, the mall tends to be somewhat of a hotbed when we have internautos. We'll have spurts of internautos, and especially during the holiday season, because a lot of people here, I'm sure, go to the mall and they go shopping. And all these we have a lot of other box stores that have large parking lots, and those are magnets for people who want to break into people's cars. When you go to these places, or if you work at these places, take into consideration where you're parking. If you're going to the mall and it's daylight, consider that when you get out, it's likely going to be dark. And I do that. I tell my wife to do that. If she's going to the mall, she gets there at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, they park. I tell her, park somewhere where it's going to be lit when you come outside. Also, don't park in the far corner of the mall unless you have to. If the parking lot's full, you may just have to park there. But take into consideration where you park and plan ahead so when you leave that you can be as safe as possible. Now, I've already covered parking in a well-lit area, but if you can't do that, try to leave in pairs. If you're walking to your car and it's dark, try to walk out with somebody, or wait for other people to walk out and walk out with them at the same time, because normally when people are victimized, they're not in groups. These folks are looking for easy targets. Excuse me. Pay close attention to your surroundings. Watch the folks that are walking out. If you see anybody lingering outside, looking in cars, you probably know what they're doing. We get calls all the time of folks looking in cars, pulling door handles, doing things such as that. So pay attention to what's going on around you. Have your keys ready when you exit the building. The sheriff talked about using your alarm system on your car. That is a great idea. If you think somebody is following you or possibly breaking into cars or looking into your car, hit that alarm, set it off, because I guarantee it's going to scare them off. Now, if you're walking to your car and you get the feeling that possibly somebody is following you and you are afraid you're going to be a victim, there are a couple things you can do. One is use that alarm. Two is, I tell my wife, make a phone call. Get on the phone with somebody. That way, if something does happen, you can tell them what's happening, exactly where you are, what's going on. You could even give a description of the assailant. The last thing is, I would say don't go to your car. Make a circle and get back into the building. And that way you're back into a safe area. If you're trying to get into your car, you're fumbling with your keys, you got your bags and all that, you're kind of opening yourself up, making yourself a target if somebody's already there wanting to victimize you. Now, when you park, conceal your valuables. All right? These internados are crimes of opportunity in most cases. We have so many internados in neighborhoods where people will leave their cars unlocked and they'll leave tablets and phones and purses, and these folks aren't busting windows or punching locks. They're walking by and looking, and they're just pulling door handles. If we get a rash of internados in a neighborhood, 75% of them are unlocked. Very few of them are forced entry. You know, we do have some forced entry at the mall. But if you're shopping also, a lot of times you'll shop and you'll make several trips to and from your car because you're buying a lot of items. This really applies to the holidays. So you got 4 or 5 expensive electronics items, you take them out to your car, and then you're going to go back in and shop some more. Don't put those things in the front. Always lock them in the trunk. Most cars now are restricting trunk access unless you actually have that perimeter key. Our chargers, my patrol charger is the same way. If you don't have the perimeter key, you cannot get in the trunk. Even if you bust a window and mash the button, you're not going to be able to get into the trunk. This is a good example of what we'll see in internados. The thief's going to walk by, he's going to look, he's going to see what's in that seat right there, and he's going to break that window or punch that lock, and he's going to be gone. This is actually a photo where we had a break-in, and you can see exactly what happened. You can still see the window. There were obvious valuables in there. He saw something. It was a crime of opportunity. Busted the window and took the items. Now, on the gas station safety. Last year, we had an individual who was filling up his car during the snowstorm. It was in the paper. I don't know if any of you saw it. But it was cold, decided he wanted to leave his car running, goes inside where the car gets stolen. And then the sheriff's office chased him and caught him. If you're going to go to a gas station, you need to go inside. If you don't have a car that has a perimeter key, that has a safe park system, which means it cannot go into drive if the perimeter key is not in the car, don't leave it running. I would suggest turn it off anyway, because you may accidentally have turned the safety key feature off and they'll drive away even with the perimeter key in your pocket. But if you're going to fill up with gas as well, lock it. Has anybody seen the news reports of these, what they call sliders? Y'all know what those are? It's where you've got somebody who's pulled up, they're turned, they're facing the pump, and another car will pull up on the passenger side, and he'll lean down and open that door and steal these items. And I've got a couple of pictures from videos. Always lock your vehicle. Never leave it running when you go in the store. And I always, pumping gas, will just go ahead and take the keys out of the ignition because I know my attention is going to be diverted away from that car. I'm putting in a PIN number, I'm inserting a debit card, and at any time during that point, somebody slide in that passenger seat and be gone in my car. Now, these are pictures of where these sliders are actually victimizing people. You see the one right here with the arrow? There's a person that you can't see, but they're pumping gas. They have no idea. And you can see this one. She's completely oblivious to what's going on back here. And we've seen these a lot. We haven't seen as many out here because I think they're scared to come out here, but in Atlanta, this is happening a great deal. We've seen these things on the news. And these are actual photos from Atlanta news stations. The last thing I'm going to cover is when you're shopping and you're using a shopping cart, ladies will commonly lay their purse where the kid sits, and I cannot tell you during my years here how many theft reports we have taken to where they will get to the register and go, "Where's my wallet?" And these are ladies with their purses zipped. They'll open purses, you're inviting it. But even with the purses zipped, they'll have somebody that will distract the victim, and another person will come around, they'll unzip it, and they'll take the wallet, and they go on a spending spree. And by the time you realize your wallet's gone, they've already hit several other stores with your cards. That's all I got. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Piggyback on what Lieutenant Senator was talking about, just the other day, we had information that our detective received, Captain Cannon, received about an entering auto group that was targeting Villa Rica, Douglasville, Douglas County, and they was coming out breaking in cars. But these guys was from Florida, but they would come up, when they run out of money or whatever, they come up to the FIB, Fulton Industrial Boulevard area, and they get some people over there on dope or whatever. Then they'll come out here, go to the shopping centers, go to some of the workout places and subdivisions. And we got a call, we were running some undercover operation.
The IRS is calling me?
I hope not.
Real?
And so Captain Cannon and his people, one of the patrol units seen the car. We had a lookout on the car, seen the car, turned around on it, and they were driving, what were they driving, a Charger?
Dodge Charger, yes, sir.
They were driving a Dodge Chargers and the chase on. Well, they blew our car away. I think they blew a state patrol vehicle away. But here's the deal, technology. This is what we have now in Douglasville. We're not a little small agency, and the Sheriff Department not a little small agency either. So we had to utilize the technology. Well, we called Lieutenant Sanders. He's at home, he's in the bed. So we have these license plate readers, and these license plate readers, you probably heard them talk about license plate readers throughout the state and all this kind of thing, but he gets up, he put that tag on the vehicle, and a sheriff deputy down in Lowndes County, way down in South Georgia, gets up out the bed, get on the interstate, and about 2 hours later, hear the car come by. So we knew the people were from Florida, and the chase was on. Well, they wrecked the car, and we recovered some property from Villa Rica, and they tried to get in some cars here. But what we need our people to do, and the reason why we have these things, is to take this information, share it with your friends, lock your car, take your items out your car. I know you go to work, you work all day, you come home, your home is your castle. I'm tired, I'm gonna go in, take a shower, have a drink of wine, chill. But you left your computer in the car. You left other valuables in the car. And that's all they do. They come by at 3 o'clock in the morning, checking the doors. So this is why we have these type of meetings here, so we can warn you about what's going on, not only in Douglasville, but what's going on in the metro Atlanta area. Because what's going on in Atlanta is going to come out here. You're in the metro, you're not in the Mayberry, you're in the metro Atlanta area. You're not in no country town. Douglasville is not country. We're 20 miles from the largest city in the South. So we experience some of these crimes that occurs in the big city in Atlanta. We experience some of these things. So in order for us to fight this, the sheriff and I, we come and tell you, be on the watch for it, because you on deck. Your eyes help us see the crime that's occurring so we can properly go out and fight and keep you safe. Now we're going to have a presentation from Captain Cannon from our investigative division.
Good evening. Just real quick, just to piggyback off of what Lieutenant Sanders was saying, and you'll see as we go through my slideshow, he mentioned about entering autos being a crime of opportunity. Basically, when you boil down any crime, if you limit or take away the opportunity of being a victim of a crime, the crime's more than likely not going to occur. And as we go through these financial crimes, these ATM safety tips, just look at it and analyze it and think about, by taking these tips or analyzing these crimes, if you take away that opportunity, you lessen being a target of a crime. First part of the presentation, will kind of be targeted towards business. I don't know if we got any business owners in here. If not, managers. And then we'll go on to personal tips against financial crimes, and we'll move on to ATM safety. Guarding your business from being victimized of a crime. First of all, know your employees. We're all good judgments of character. Know who your employees are, know who you can trust, and know what they can be trusted with. Limit your employees' access to company checks, company credit cards, and financial statements. Realize this is the backbone or the livelihood of your business. If it ever gets compromised, I don't know if anybody's ever had their personal finances compromised, but if your business gets compromised, it's on a much larger scale, and it can affect the whole operation. If you're a mom and pop's business, then it could possibly shut you down for a while until you get that straightened out. Keep check on the company checkbook. Periodically go through your checkbook and account for all checks. We have had cases in the past where big organizations, they'll have a checkbook that might have, a couple hundred checks in it. An employee that is not very trustworthy or victimizing the business, they'll go through halfway through a checkbook and rip one out. You may not realize that check is missing until 30 days later until you get that bank statement. Or for some odd reason you get to that check and all of a sudden it's missing, it's not being accounted for. The fund's already gone and taken away from your business. Consider having a post office box to receive bills and financial statements. Realize we do have crooks in this jurisdiction in the metro Atlanta area that target business mailboxes, especially apartment complexes where people drop their payments in drop boxes or mailboxes. They'll actually fish those checks out. They'll wash those checks, make them out to their personal self or somebody else, and benefit on the company's or apartment's behalf. Consider online bill pay or drop-off bills to be paid at the post office. We don't see too many businesses here that's still doing this, but go in some businesses and you always see the outgoing mail basket on the front counter area. Every once in a while you'll look in there and you'll see a bill out that's waiting to be picked up or mailed out. That's just a crime of opportunity. Take away the opportunity, take away being a victim of a crime. When it comes to credit card transactions, if you are a cashier or you do transactions within your business, be skeptical of customers come in with only one credit card and one form of ID in hand. There's a reason why they only have one credit card or one form of ID in hand. That means that they've probably counterfeit that ID, counterfeit that credit card. They only want to have two pieces of information to be memorized. That way if they get asked about it. So just I'm not saying that they're wrong, but just be skeptical of them. Watch for multiple purchases of gift cards with credit card or debit cards. And this is piggybacking off what Lieutenant Sanders was saying about entering autos. This group that the chief was just speaking of, their MO was to break in cars. They was after credit or debit cards, and as soon as they got those in hand, they was running to one of the local convenience stores, grocery stores, department stores, and they was taking credit cards and buying multiple gift cards with them. That's not normal. If you work in a business, or what the chief said, you're the eyes. You are our partners in this. If you're at Kroger and you see a young man or young woman, or it don't have to be young or old, elder or whatever, if they're sitting there making multiple purchases of gift cards with a credit card, that's not normal. How many people of us go in and buy 10 or 15 gift cards with a single credit card? It's not normal behavior. Watch for customers swiping several credit or debit cards for purchases. It's amazing that when we pull store videos of these type of crimes, how many people or how many of these suspects will actually stand at a self-checkout and sit there and swipe 5 or 6 different credit cards until one is accepted. Me or you, or a law-abiding citizen, you might swipe one, you might have a bad month, that one might get declined, you might go to a second one, but if you are a law-abiding citizen, if that second one's declined, what are most of us going to do? Walk out. You don't sit there and just keep going through credit cards. But there's some that we sit and they'll scan 10 or 15 credit or debit cards till that transaction goes through. If you're in a store, if you're behind some of these individuals, and the clerks aren't paying attention to that, and you see that, there's nothing wrong with calling 911 and say, hey, I'm at the local Kroger. This gentleman's got some suspicious, or this young lady's got some suspicious activity. Give us a call. Let us check it out, and you would be surprised at how many of those tips lead to us breaking open a crime spree. If you suspect credit card fraud, and you are the cashier or a manager or owner of a business, ask the customer to physically see the credit or debit card identification. Make sure that name on front of that credit card matches the ID. Look to see if the numbers on the receipt match the numbers on the card. You'll be surprised that what they'll do is they'll steal your credit card number or your debit card number, and they'll impose it onto a blank gift card or one of their credit cards. And if you look at your receipt from any purchase, usually it has the last 4 numbers of your credit card that you used to make that transaction. If you suspect somebody's in your business and they're using a fraudulent credit card or debit card, ask to see that card, look at the printed receipt, and make sure those last 4 or 5 numbers match. If they don't, there's an issue there, and obviously call us, let us address it. Look to see if the name and signature on the card match the ID. If your suspect leaves, get a good description, a good vehicle description, and the direction he or she left in. We do not encourage store owners or civilians to try to intervene or stop a criminal from leaving the business. The best thing that you can do is take a good mental note, a good mental screenshot, and be able to pass that along to law enforcement once we arrive. Obviously, call 911 and get us involved. Guarding your personal accounts against fraud. Be cautious of giving out your personal information or credit card information online. Know of your website and be cautious of making transactions using public Wi-Fi. Everybody knows how to look at the toolbar, make sure you're on a secured website. It's just a HTTPS. If it don't have that S on there, do not put any of your financial information on that website. Unsolicited calls demanding payment of personal information. Some of these might be the IRS scam. You'll hear a video here shortly about that. Family member, and these are some ones that we have seen. Sometimes you'll get a phone call. We've seen these where people get scammed out a couple of $1,000s. Somebody will call and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from the Dominican Republic. I have your nephew, Johnny, down here. He's in jail. Or I got a family friend. They have one phone call, and as a favor to them, I'm calling you. Can you wire us money? They need to be bonded out of jail. And it's amazing, and a lot of these scams operate off confusion and being very persistent. Payment to keep from releasing internet history. We actually had an employee here at the police department that received one of these emails this week. What they'll do is they'll try and intimidate you, saying, hey, we know your history and we know what websites you've been on the internet. We require payment, or we're going to release your history through social media. We know you're good friends. We know you're clergy. We know your family members. And this individual works here at the police department. Obviously, he knew it was a scam, knew he had nothing to hide, and of course, he deleted it. Utility payments. If you operate a business, we've seen quite a few of these here in our jurisdiction. Somebody will call a business, a restaurant, a hotel, somewhere during their peak season or a peak business time, lunchtime for restaurants, say, hey, this is Georgia Power, this is Greystone, you're within 15 minutes of us cutting your power because you're delinquent on your bills. If you give us your credit card information, we'll take payment on the phone, and your business will keep operating. So be mindful of those. It all goes back to unsolicited or unwelcome phone calls. And remember, these types of scams are driven by intimidation and confusion. What they try to do is they try to pull at strings that they know are sensitive to you, as in the family members, the IRS, payments to keep your personal history off the internet, utility payments. So they try to confuse you and pull areas that you're sensitive of and that you want to be cleared up immediately, and asking for payment. Secure or shred all financial documents and statements. I know this might seem common sense, but you would be surprised at how many credit card statements, debit card statements, bank statements we find laying on the side of the road. Did they fly out of a garbage truck? We don't know. Did they fly out of your car? We'll try to contact you, make sure you wasn't a victim of a crime. But the majority of the time, we get the comment, oh, I threw that in the garbage can. I flew out of a garbage truck. Look at your statements and look at how much personal information is on those statements, and think about if they got in the hands of the wrong person, how much damage they could do to you. So, shred or secure all financial documents. Avoid keeping your PIN numbers with your financial cards. You'd be surprised at how many of these enter and autos or these thefts that we work, where ladies or men say, my wallet got stolen, my purse got stolen. Well, tell me what was in it. Well, my credit card was in it. Behind my credit card was a piece of paper folded up with my PIN numbers. You're just opening yourself up to have your account strained. Inspect and be cautious when using cards, mainly debit cards at gas pumps or standalone ATMs. Consider paying inside. Always, pay inside. Credit card versus debit card. What's the difference? This is something that I use in my personal travels. If I travel outside this jurisdiction and I buy gas and I can't go in the store and pay for the gas, I use a credit card. What's the difference? Different financial institutes have different grace periods on how they refund your money. Most time, if you're using your debit card, you can call your bank. It usually takes between 7 and 14 days, business days, for that money to come back to your account. And they require a police report. They require you to give that police report number to them. And you're out of that money for 7 to 14 days. And then you have to go through closing that bank account out, closing all those bills that's being paid out of that account. It just becomes a burden to you. Credit card. What do? You call Visa or you call MasterCard. Say, hey, I did not make this purchase for $78 at Quick Trip off MLK Boulevard. What do? They automatically credit your credit card back. They dispute it with retailer. Now it's on the retailer's burden to prove if you was there or not. So it's instant credit back, and you don't have to worry about closing no accounts. I mean, most of the time a credit card company will recommend you starting a new card, but most of us don't pay a regular bill on a monthly basis with a credit card. Protect your PIN numbers at all time. When you're entering your PINs at these standalone ATMs or any ATMs or gas pumps, they always have these instructions at these pumps. Cover your PIN number. Keep it from being viewed by anybody besides you. Consider using pumps that can easily be viewed by employees. A lot of times these skimmers, and what I'm talking about, skimmers are devices that are put on these gas pumps to capture your credit card or your debit card information, your PIN number. A lot of times these criminals will put it on pumps that are on the outside. And the reason why is most time clerks aren't paying attention to those pumps. If you are going to pay at the pump, as a standalone practice for myself, I pay with the pumps that's directly in front of the store window. Those are less likely to be compromised. Some of the current scams that we're seeing are secret shopper scams. Those tend to flare up this time of year. You'll get an email, once again, an unsolicited email, that says, hey, you've been chosen to be a secret shopper. We are sending you a check. You'll be receiving a check in the mail in the next coming days. And you will. You'll receive a check. It looks like a valid check, and it might be for $1,500. And then it will be a letter saying we're doing a quality control on Walmart. Go buy $100 worth of groceries, $100 worth of merchandise from this retailer. Keep $150 for your inconvenience, and to know that you're honest and honest in your reporting, return the $1,200 to us. Well, guess what happens? That check is no good. Guess whose account it got cashed on? Most time it takes a financial institution a few days, a few business days to find out that check's fraudulent. You've already wired that money off, and they're sitting free with $1,200. eBay scams. We've worked a couple of these. Somebody will purchase a vehicle, will purchase some sort of item where it's drastically below market value. And what will happen is the seller will say, hey, send me the check, I'll send you the property, and once that check's gone, or you give your financial institute information, they access your account, pull that money out, and you're without any money. I worked one several years ago where a gentleman was trying to, and some of y'all might have been in my Citizen Police Academy, and I'll just tell you, he was a good neighbor of mine. Thought he was a smart businessman, but got tricked into buying an antique Shelby Mustang, fully restored. I think it was a 68, and he thought he was buying it for $16,000. The retail value on that car was over $60,000. He wired him money. Luckily, I was able to get the money back from him. But do some research, do some homework on these items. This instance, it didn't take much because the seller provided an address to the bank account they needed to go. It was a valid bank account in California, but he listed his home address in California as well. And it took me as simple as just putting in home address in Google Earth and pulled it up. This gentleman's home address was the homeless shelter there in Los Angeles. So be mindful of that. Do a little bit of your homework. Search these addresses and see if they're legit. Craigslist scams. These are basically targeting a seller somebody will contact you, say if I have a washer and dryer for sale, they say, hey, I want your washer and dryer. I'll send you the money in the mail. I'll say, well, I'll take $250 for it. They'll send you a check for $500. And then they'll contact you, oh, I just mailed the check, realized I double paid you for the washer. Can you take $250 for a washer, keep $50 out for your inconvenience, and send me back $200? Once again, once you cash that check hits your account, takes a few days for your financial institute to determine it is a fraudulent check, you're out that money. Peer-to-peer payment. This is something I read about this week. This is something I'm not that familiar with, but evidently it's hitting the metro Atlanta area. We have not been hit with it yet, but it basically targets these apps on your phone, the different payments where you pay people using your phone. What the scam is and what I've read about is an individual will come up to you and say, hey, can I borrow your phone? I need to make a phone call. Well, what happens when you let somebody borrow your phone? You unlock your phone. By unlocking your phone, you open up your apps. And what these individuals are doing is they're going through your apps, see if you have any of these apps that is peer-to-peer pay. They access that because you've already unlocked it, and they're transferring money to your account or to their account. They're saying, hey, thank you for letting me use your phone. Hand the phone back to you. It might be hours. It might be days where you realize that money's been transferred out of one of these peer-to-peer payments. So this is something new that's hitting the metro Atlanta area. The Federal Trade Commission has released some safety tips on it. That's a website there that you can access and read a little more about it. I did print out the PowerPoint and has all that information on it as well. But this is something to be mindful. My theory is my phone's my phone. Unless you're a family member, I'm sorry. I pay that monthly bill. And then the IRS, and I'll show you a quick video on the IRS.
The IRS is calling me? Can this be for real?
Fraud is real. Hang up on fraud. Americans have lost more than $23 million by giving out information and money to criminals impersonating the Internal Revenue Service. Scammers are aggressive when they contact a potential victim and claim to be from the IRS. They often use a fake telephone number with a U.S. area code. They demand immediate payment. They may even threaten police arrest or deportation. Don't believe them. Instead, just hang up. Don't provide any information to these crooks. The real IRS will generally first make contact by letter and will never demand immediate payment or threaten force. If you suspect you've been contacted by an IRS scammer, submit an incident report with the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration at www.tigda.gov. Call the TIGDA hotline at 1-800-366-4484. Please share this message.
Once again, like he said in the video, these individuals work off of intimidation, so just be mindful of that. I got about 5 more minutes. I'm be finished now. I'm good.
Okay.
Just something real quick.
Okay.
And then we move on to ATM real quick. That won't take me long, Chief. This is some good information that's in your packet. Up until last year, to do a credit freeze, you had to pay a fee. I think it was $3 to put a freeze on your credit, $3 to lift it. I've personally done this. It's a great thing. By freezing your credit, nobody can access your credit or open up any kind of accounts. Now, Georgia has passed. There's no fees associated with this. So you can place a freeze on your credit. You can lift that freeze at any time. You can do a temporary lift where it's only 5 to 7 days or a year or what have you. They give you a PIN number, and each transaction is free as of last year. But that information is in your packet as well. Should be on the back table. I think, Shannon, is there some packets of the PowerPoint? You can grab one on your way out. Real quick, we'll run through this real quick, so no time. ATM safety. Be mindful and aware of your surroundings. Poor or no lighting. Make that, like Lieutenant Sanders said, when you come parking. Bushes or obstructive view from general public. Some of these ATMs are tucked around back. Be mindful of that. Have card in hand. Be ready to make your transactions when you walk up to the ATM. Drive-up ATMs, some safety to keep in mind. Keep your doors and windows locked and rolled up until you're ready to do the transaction. Roll down your driver's window only. Make sure your passenger side doors and windows are locked. Keep somebody from accessing on the passenger side and victimizing you. Pull close to the ATM. You see a lot of people pull up these ATMs. They'll open the door and they're halfway out of a car, halfway in the car doing their transaction. This is just opening you up for somebody to come run up and blindside you and victimize you. Also, think about it. If you're close to the ATM, you get that suspect try to squeeze in between your car and the ATM, what do? You gas it, put the squeeze on them, get out of there. Pull away before counting your money. Always pull away from the ATM, roll your windows up, make sure your doors are locked before you count your money. A lot of times you'll see people keep their windows rolled down, counting our money. Once again, your attention is diverted from your surroundings, counting on that money, and you become an opportunity for crime. For walk-up ATMs, lock your car when you leave it. When you walk up to ATMs, it keeps the suspect from accessing your car, stealing your personal items, also being in your car when you return. Only have your card in hand. Don't go up with your purses or your wallets, thumbing through it. And once again, your attention is diverted. Have your card in hand, be ready to do your transaction. Return to your vehicle before counting your money and keep your receipt. Always keep your receipt. Return to your car. A lot of people say, well, if I don't count my money in front of the ATM camera, if there's discrepancy in what the bank gave me, I want to make sure they see me counting it. I don't know of any financial institute that will dispute if you have a receipt in hand. They'll pull their video. They also have a counter on that machine, and they know if they shortchanged you or not. Protect your pen at all times. Be aware of skimmers. Some signs to look for on skimmers are loose or crooked or damaged parts, adhesive tape or residue on these machines, wires exposed. If the card is not returned after transaction or hitting cancel, you know there's something wrong with that machine, obviously call 911. Also contact that financial institute, make them aware of it. And most important law, and this is about anything, if it does not feel or look right, walk away or drive away. There's plenty of ATMs in the area. Go to one that you feel safe at. That's all I have. Any questions real quick, and we'll move on.
All right, it's getting about time for us to go, and we appreciate all your patience and glad you came out. Remember, we're going to be having another town hall meeting in January. We'll be talking about emergency preparedness. Sheriff?
Again, if I don't want to sound like them old Baptist preachers, but they're not turning out as large as I thought they would. This information that we come up with is, I want everybody in this community to know what their sheriff is doing, what I'm doing to prevent crime, how I'm catching folks. I want them to know. But you know, back in the day, the pastor used to tell you, so come back Sunday and tell 10 folks, bring 10 folks with you. Well, this is what we're doing in January. Y'all tell your friends about it. If they are really concerned about their community, they need to be a part of their community. And the only way that's going to happen is get involved. Is get involved. Because we need everybody. Like I think it was Captain, your eyes could be so much to this sheriff's department and police department because we can't be everywhere all the time. And this is what a lot of folks understand. Ain't nothing too small. That suspicious van she was talking about earlier, you see a van parked out there that you ain't seen that van before. Most folks will look at it and go on. But just write a tag number down. If you don't want to do that, just call the sheriff's office or the police department and say, look, there's a van out here in this cul-de-sac and I ain't never seen it out here before and I don't know what they're doing. We got to come check it out and find out. It may be exactly what you thought it was. So, yeah, so that's what I'm saying, report it. Report what you see. And I want everybody to get involved. So tell everybody, let's meet this January, we're going to have, bring some folks with you and find out what's going on in your community. And once again, back what my little lady was talking about here, that's the most growing crime in this area, in the Atlanta area, is that. Simply because you can reuse the product over and over and over again and still make money. Marijuana, you smoke it up, it's gone. But that sex trafficking is a money maker, huge money maker. And that's another thing, everybody that you know need to deal with these ladies. Everybody needs to be aware of what could happen in a split second. Quick. Everybody needs to be aware of what's going on. Like I said, I'm a community man. That's all I want to do is get out here in this community and save these children. That's our greatest access right now, these children. And if we don't save them, we're going to be doomed. Sparks, I know I'm long one. Here you go.
All right, so ended up, the sheriff and I, we have had several undercover investigations dealing with human trafficking. We just did some cases a few months ago. So, you know, both of these departments are well-rounded agencies that provide several different services to the community. And we don't leave a stone unturned as it relates to law enforcement and the investigation of law enforcement and keeping you safe. As you can see, sheriff's stats are down, our stats are down, and we investigated every type of crime that occurs in our jurisdiction. So again, we want to thank you all for coming out. January, we'll be doing emergency preparedness. And if some of you all want to come and see what we do for the youth, every Saturday from 10 to 2, that's why these tables are set up. Every Saturday from 10 to 2 for the last 11 years, we've been empowering our young people in this classroom. And we have taught human trafficking to our young people, so they'll be aware. So again, that's just to show you that we do everything we can to make sure that our citizens are safe. And again, we don't let no stone go unturned as it relates to crime. God bless y'all. We love you. See you again, hopefully in January. Y'all have a good evening.